You said you were surprised that Heard presented as evidence photos of her face that did not match the violence she said she suffered.
I was very surprised that the actress submitted as evidence photos that were supposed to show the magnitude of the severe violence she said she suffered, but in reality showed no harm to her face. It was not until I found the second explanation to her behavior, which I proposed in the book as the second hypothesis, that her evidence started to make sense. You see, if you understand the physiopathology of traumatic injury, then you will be as surprised as I was.
Let me show you a short video on the internet that shows in slow motion what happens when the face is struck with a blunt object or experiences a forceful impact like a punch, a fall, or a collision. The energy from that force travels through the soft tissues of the face, skin, fat, and muscle. Immediately at the site of impact, the force compresses and stretches tissues. Tiny blood vessels, especially capillaries and small granules just below the skin, which are very fragile, are crushed and stretched beyond their limit and their walls rupture. The skin surface may remain intact, but there is significant internal damage. Once the small blood vessels break, blood escapes into the surrounding tissues. And because the skin remains unbroken, the blood does not leak externally. Instead, it pools under the skin. This collection of fresh oxygen-rich blood in the tissue is what produces the visible marks we call bruises or ecchymosis. This is the photo in the book's first chapter that demonstrates this effect. Had Heard indeed received the blows to her face that she reported, this was the type of injury we were expecting to see in photos presented as evidence. The marks initially have a dark red appearance since under the skin there is fresh blood. When the trapped blood loses oxygen, 1 or 2 days later, the bruises turns purple or blue. 5 to 10 days later, the bruise turns kind of green or yellow when the body begins breaking down the hemoglobin into other compounds. Finally, the bruise fades to a light yellow-brown color before disappearing completely.
You see, the bruises appear not because you suffer a direct blow, but because when that happens, numerous mechanisms of injury and healing happen in the body. And it is when those mechanisms are captured on photos that we can infer that you were injured. And the forensic analysis of the injury pattern can later indicate the likelihood that the injury happened as the victim reported and confirm or disconfirm their testimony. And this was why both parties brought experts into the US trial to explain the mechanisms of injury in Depp's hand. It was not enough to demonstrate that the finger had been severed, but the mechanism of injury needed to be explained.
Besides the harsh blows to the face reported by Heard that the photos did not reveal, there were other instances of physical harm also reported by the actress that are nowhere to be seen in the evidence. Blows to the face, allegedly producing bleeding that ended up on the wall, mean that the skin was cut. When the skin is cut, the body immediately works to stop blood loss. Blood vessels near the wound narrow to reduce blood flow. Platelets in the blood adhere to the injury site and clump together to form a soft plug. A protein called fibrin forms a mesh-like structure over the platelet plug, creating a stable blood clot scab that seals the wound and prevents further bleeding and infection. So the photos that the actress took with friends close after the incident she reported would have shown the scabs. Scraping the feet and knees on glass would mean more or less deep and concerning cuts, that might involve structures such as tendons, nerves, and eventually bone, and further concern about glass splinters that might get stuck in the wounds. What is most significant? The pattern of injury in Heard's left arm does not fit the scenario of broken bottles and glasses all over the place that the actress reported. Glass cuts like very sharp knives. Her arm should have been shred, and likely with limitations of movement and function due to the injury to muscles, tendons, and ligaments. Many victims of intimate partner violence do not collect evidence of the harm caused by the partners, and they may have it difficult to corroborate their statements at trial. In the case of Heard, though, the situation is reversed. She went to trial with evidence. Her lawyer classified it as overwhelming, but that overwhelming evidence in fact showed that what the actress described had not happened. Heard's evidence was, in my view, Depp's best defense that he had not committed the horrible acts of domestic violence she accused him of.